Thank you so much for joining me.
Wait, hold on. Look. I'm already intrigued. You're repping the creature. I love it. I'm looking quickly at your videos to see you've got good taste. Nice. Nice to see you, Mike. Daniel Roebuck here.
Very pleased to have you. So let's just jump right in. I first of all, I think the movies, The Munsters, is great. I think you're terrific in it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Now I heard you're a pretty huge Munsters fan, and you also met Al Lewis. Is that correct?
It is true. Met and knew him. Knew him.
Mm.
Yeah, good. I'd say we'd been acquaintances for years and spent a lot of time together over a couple of years. Great guy, irascible, argumentative. He a contrarian. Sometimes you'd say, do you like my new blue top? And he'd say, that's not really blue, that's Cordovan. You'd be like, what? No, it's blue. It's blue. And he just wants to be contrary.
Yeah, just get a rise out of you.
Yeah, just to get a rise out of you. But he was a heck of an entertainer, boy. And what would the Munsters have been without he and Fred? Who knows? I thought about that once, just by the way, because you're geek vibe nation. I think I'm a bit of a geek. I know actors are supposed to act cool, but I've never gotten that down. I'm not really that cool. But would there have been these new Planet of the Apes movies that are all great? And I like, what are you at the Mad Hatter's tea party? That teacup was like a prop from here, have a cup of tea. But would there be the new Planet of the Apes movies without Roddy McDowall in the original ones? You know what I mean? Like there was this concept, but it was an actor that made you follow the stories. And I think that's true of Yvonne and Fred and Al. Without them, we wouldn't be making these movies. It would just be another property. Like, there's no Leave It to Beaver movie, respectfully, and they were all good actors too. But yeah, Al was great. I knew Fred too. We did a movie together. So, and that was not unlike this experience. It wasn't a movie in LA. It was a movie in a little town in Montana. So we all lived together in Montana for 2.5 months. That was kind of cool. Like when you go away from somewhere, then you and the other people there, you're everybody's entertainment. You require all of you to be entertaining. So knew them both. So ironic that I end up in this great movie.
Nice. Now, I got to ask, did you ask Fred to talk a little bit about the Munsters? I know he wasn't.
No. Yes. Well, he didn't. He didn't talk about it to anybody. But like, we're two actors on the set, for 2.5 months, so we filled in a lot of time. Fred was also very, like, those guys, man, they did not suffer fools, And if Fred thought you were a little, I remember once we're sitting outside, he's shooting his last scene, and he's got the cigarette. He goes, Danny, I don't know comedy. You know comedy. I don't know comedy. And I always thought, now that's his way of making fun of me, because obviously he knows comedy. So I think the opposite is true. I think he was like saying, you don't know comedy. I know comedy. His widow called, reached out after they announced me in the movie. And you know what she said, Mike? She said, this would make Fred so happy because he knew how much you love him. Isn't that sweet to hear?
That's great.
That's right. And with all the negativity that befell us when it was announced we were making this movie, and the constant insults and jabs, and I thought, gee, Fred Gwynne's wife is fine with it, and Al Lewis, his wife Karen, who's a friend, said, Dan, Al would say it's yours now. Run with it. And that's exactly what he would say. Like, what would I do if they remade River's Edge? Am I going to be like, why wasn't I called to play Samson? Well, you're like, old enough to be his grandfather. Like River's Edge, by the way, you know that movie?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when we did that movie, the grand old man, Gandalf came to the set, Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper was like, my God, look how old he is. And he's here and he's working with us kids. And I had it really all to myself. The other guys got to do a scene, but I had Dennis for weeks at a time that were just me and him, me riding on his coattail, right? And I think now I'm 5 years older than he was when we did River's Edge. Like, he wasn't even old. He was only 54. And we thought he was like this grizzled old Gandalfian, man. Anyway, many years later, after I knew Al, after I knew Fred, I'm Grandpa Munster. So God is good and things work out the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, that's great. Now I'm kind of curious. You being a big fan, obviously, was there a little bit of a extra pressure there to really like nail that character?
Oh no, I think I've been well prepared for it. And I mean, dude, I played Jay Leno, when he was on TV every day. Like, I can tell you that's if I could take that without my knees buckling. Or I played Gary Marshall, who I respected enormously. And I knew that I might bump into him one day and he might say, you didn't do a good job, but he liked what I did. So he was a fan. And Mike, when I was a little boy, I was a clown in a circus. I was a vampire clown. I was a funny vampire named the Count. So even at 12, I was preparing for this role. So God in his infinite wisdom had kept putting me in line with exactly the people that I needed to know so that come the day I had to play Grandpa Munster, I would have been a Count. I would have met and worked with Fred, known Al, knew their widows, knew Rob Zombie. So when the time came to make this movie, I was in the right place at the right time.
Nice. Speaking of Rob Zombie, I was trying to get this in the background here.
Oh, there you go. Signed to you?
Mm-hmm.
Look at you and Sherry.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sherry's signature's hard to get.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm a little bit of a fan.
Now, did you get that at a concert?
No, I actually got that from a friend of mine who got it in person.
That's nice.
Yeah. No, I've been very blessed with people helping me out with certain stuff like that. But now I'm kind of curious, like, how long did the Count makeup take?
Took about 3.5 hours. But for a brief moment of my life, I considered being a makeup man because I grew up, making myself up constantly as a child. And there's a point where you go, I know I can do it. I know I can do it. And then in the back of your head, you go, well, what if I go to LA and I can't do it? I could still maybe be a makeup man, and be around it. So I love being in the makeup chair. I love it. I don't ever complain. I sit, I listen to my music. My two Ritas, it was two beautiful women named Rita, made me up every day. They'd make up my ears, and it's Pax makeup, so it's sticky. So they have to powder it down. So they powdered down my ears, and I put in my headphones, and I listened to, some classical Beethoven, whatever, but they were gluing everything down, and then I started kicking up the music when they started painting it. So by the time, I had the whole paint job on, then I was ready to go to the wig, and then I was the Count. Yeah.
I have to say my favorite scene, I think, with you and Jeff and Sherry at the dinner table, and it's the jokes, and then it's like what is the how do you keep a
grumpy old vampire? Yeah. And I think it's so funny. Like, he's trying so hard to please his future father-in-law. He's only infuriating him more. And Jeff is so good in that scene. Jeff is terrific. It's just terrific watching this all come to be. He and Sherry are so great in the roles. And it was just kind of nice to see Jeff, who I've known for many years, really become the star of a movie, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he adds so much. I think the whole cast does. I mentioned that in the review that I'm writing, that everybody is so great and everybody just plays and works off each other so well.
Thank you. I'm pleased. That's a blessing that you're writing a good review. I'm very proud of the movie. I know it'll be out on the 27th for everybody to see on Blu-ray and on DVD and I think VOD and on Netflix. And then it's there forever. And maybe if people like it, they'll let us do another one.
Yeah.
And believe me, I would happily, it would be they'd say, Mr. Den, can we take your cape? And I'd say, no, you cannot take my cape. No, you cannot. I'm wearing the cape. I would wear it. Remember Lawrence of Arabia? He doesn't have a mirror and he's looking at his robes. He's looking at his shadow, and he's looking at the robes. That was me every night. I would walk. I was so happy. I mean, we were in Budapest, Hungary, on these great. How great is Rob Zombie's Transylvania?
Yeah, excellent.
Like, he came up with a new idea of this thing, and the genius of setting the movie in a different place, so we don't have to live up to what the Munsters was, because we're not there yet. We're not them yet.
Yeah.
And even when, like, the mustache heard around the world, oh, Grandpa doesn't have a mustache. Well, he's Count Dracula, and he's living in his castle. He has a mustache. Maybe he shaves it at some point, but it's a prequel, so it's, I guess, not a prequel. It's a legacy. So what would you call that? Because we haven't played the parts before. So
maybe like a requel.
Requel? Ooh, I like that.
I wish I could take credit for that, but I will anyways.
Sure, Mike, that's yours. You're a genius. You're a damn genius, boy. Keep it up.
So probably wrapping up, you have seems like a lot of awesome projects coming up. Are there any that you can mention?
Well, thank you for asking about that. Well, I'm a writer and a director as well as an actor, and I did a lovely film called Lucky Louie that I wrote and directed with my daughter, if you can imagine. What do you have kids at all?
No.
No, you're like, no, I have 2,000 DVDs. Yeah. Well, I have a daughter and she's a nut. So we wrote a movie called Lucky Louie, and it stars Basil Hoffman, who is a great character actor who passed away after we made the movie. So I've got his only starring role in a movie. And then we just did another one called The Hail Mary. That's going to be terrific. A real crowd pleaser about a guy who needs redemption and this nun who finds him and then cons him into creating a football team for her all-boys Catholic school so that he can find his redemption. So I've got those that I personally made. Colonials is coming out, a great sci-fi movie. I stay pretty busy. I just did in a 2-week period, I become the new Lon Chaney. So I did Las Vegas Frankenstein, Tom Devlin, a makeup effects guy he lives in Vegas. And then I did a thing called The Black Archives with Dean Jones and Star Jones, other makeup effects guys. And that was a werewolf movie. So, like, I'm living my dream. For a nerd like me, I in 1 week I went from the Munsters to Star Wars. So I'm in Star Wars. I mean, I was in Star Trek. I was killed by the Sphere in Phantasm Ravager, killed by Michael Myers in Halloween 2. Like, I keep going into the movies like everything I loved as a kid, I get to be part of as an adult. And I'm going from here to Mayberry Days to celebrate Andy Griffith, which is a great honor for me to have spent 3 years with that guy on Matlock. So God is good. Everything is great. I'm glad you love the Munsters. I know people are going to love it. just go in open mind, and you'll be entertained by this operatic, silly cartoon world that Rob Zombie created and allowed us to play in.
Hell yeah, I think it's great. Like I said, I really loved it. I've been like busting at the seams to talk about it, but I got my review going, so I'm really excited.
All right. Well, I can't wait to read it. And it's Roebuck and Genius. Sometimes, if you're referring to me as a genius,
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, likewise.
listen, and I'm glad you're wearing the creature. That's great. Go
Thanks,
to
yeah.
your your fellow geeks can go to an old website. It's kind of an artifact, but if they go to danielroebuck.com and then look up the link for the Dr. Shocker's House Far, you'll see the collection that I've had of horror memorabilia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'll put that link in the description if y'all want to check that out. And again, gosh, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much.
All right.
God bless you and your followers.